Hello everybody and welcome to the 26th episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast. Still the only chess podcast in the whole world. My name is Gustafsson and I am delighted to be joined by Peter Heine Nielsen from a small cabin in Sweden and Laurent Fressinet from a spacious mansion in Paris. Peter, what brings you to Sweden?
Work, obviously. Well, Magnus is playing a chess tournament, so I've joined him as a second here, and it's going so far. I would say that the chess. I mean, he's looking like he will quite easily qualify. There's like 3 rounds left of the first 15, the preliminaries. But for his standards, he's not doing extremely well, and also. Last evening was we had a basketball draft league and we had to draft players, and that was a very frustrating experience for me because I don't really know anything about basketball, so I had to choose 12 random players, and I'm not sure it worked that well. So I'm a bit frustrated right now, as you can hear. Maybe also as a Dane, I'm put here in the mountains in the north, and we used to mock our Scandinavian colleagues for that. So I don't know really how it works. So I'm in a grumpy mood. That's it.
But as a co-captain of your fantasy basketball team, of the Chicken Chess Club fantasy team, because I couldn't make the draft myself, I have to say, you did an excellent job. You only chose reliable, high-character players like Kyrie Irving, Trae Young, Chris Paul. So we'll be in great shape. All the Lithuanians we have, I look into the future with confidence there.
It's encouraging words, so I'm happy to hear that. Thanks a lot.
Laurent, what about you? You won some tournament in Corsica, your spiritual home?
Yeah, I went to Corsica for a few days. As Peter knows, I mean, he went there with me. Just life stops there, you just enjoy the place and
amazing place.
Yeah, no, yeah, always very welcome. So it was nice. Some simul, a lot of dinners. A lot of fun. I played a small rapid tournament on the. I was literally playing 2 meters from the sea, so the chessboard. I mean, because sun is shining, so we are just playing outside, and it was really great.
How does Laurent manage to have a better life than us? Like, does he have any skills that we lack? I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he has good people skills. You can see they always invite him back to Corsica. I mean, I had an amazing experience in Corsica, but it basically reminded me about how I think boxing is, except for on the absolute top level. I mean, I was greeted there very warmly. We were going to nice restaurants, getting a lot of food. We would hang out at the beach, go swimming, go sailing. And basically it felt like an amazing holiday, except for the part where you have to go and get completely beaten up by the local star, right? And I really enjoyed it.
That's how you think boxing at the top level is?
No, but I remember at some point I was playing the Danish chess league. And then I was standing next to the most famous Danish boxing organizer. Well, he's dead now, but he was the one doing everything. And I heard him talk to one of the foreign boxers there. This guy was telling, yeah, it's great you called me. I quit 2 years ago, but it's nice you called me anyway, so I could go here. It was clear that he was just enjoying his holiday. He was getting paid. And sure, okay, he had an appointment in the evening where he had to get beaten up a bit. So yeah, but that's basically how I see it. But maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah, and I don't get beaten up in the evening, so that's also good.
No, but I mean, you're the local star, and cause
you're the local hero.
Yeah. No, I mean, I enjoy it. It's been a while actually during this pandemic. They didn't organize. I mean, like it was actually a couple of years I didn't go there, so it was like meeting old friends, It was very special this time, and it was. It was a lot of fun and always very, very nice, yeah. It was a nice little break,
It's extremely nice to be there. They are so hospitable and really love and care about chess. I think it's the place I've given the most autographs. Basically, we stood sat for 1 hour when just school kids were coming and for some reason wanting us to sign everything. So that was an interesting experience.
Always great to hear your work growing the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, while you are in Barcelona. Yeah, and so
Yeah, I'm in Barcelona now. I went to Alcanar. Shout out to Alcanar, the Spanish village or Catalonian village where I grew up. It was nice, my childhood home. And now I'm in Barcelona. Did a bit of commentary on the Champions Chess Tour the last 3 days. And flying to Thailand to fight the jet lag before the Thailand Open tonight. I lead a very rough life.
Okay. And in Play Magnus' office now.
Yeah, they allowed me to use this office for podcasting, for Yanistan TV. It's,
amazing.
Have a nice view.
Okay.
I think I hope I can beat it. I have mountains and snow and trees and all this kind of stuff here in the background. I'm in Sweden, but it looks like Norway. But
I was walking around in a t-shirt last night, so that can't be beat by definition.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
So maybe we should remind actually that it's an online tournament, this AIM Chess, and that you are still traveling. I mean, like Magnus still wants to feel like in a tournament, basically.
Yeah, it's to sort of to create this atmosphere of it's a real tournament. I mean, if you just play from home, it ends up that you do the dishes and remember, oh damn, it's 6 o'clock. I have to go and play a game of chess. While here, you put it a bit more into sort of routines, and you get this idea of going away. I mean, quite often we have gone to Denmark, actually, also due to pandemic. Our choices was a bit limited. So we have been doing that. But quite often he's played from home as well. But, Reykjavik is happening soon afterwards, so it makes sense to combine them. He's playing the 960 World Rapid Championship afterwards. Or maybe it's just a World Championship, actually. So
will you also prepare him in 960?
Yeah, that should. I will have to remember a lot of openings positions, so that's going to be a bit tricky. They're not allowed to use any kind of engines or computers to prepare. So basically, he will have the luxury of talking to me for 15 minutes before the game. So
But he can get your input, your thoughts.
Exactly. Yes.
It used to be different, actually. I mean, I remember some match where. Yeah, he had the position like 1 hour before, and we could use some.
They have done that. It will be interesting how they will police it. I'm looking forward to that. I will also be scanned left, right, and center. But we will see how it goes. But no, that's interesting. I generally like the concept that they try to force the players to think from move one rather than just earlier. I think they would be given some kind of computer line, and then they would just play it. I think. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be. So that's going to be quite interesting. And also, it's very nice to be in Reykjavik in general. But of course, it's the 50-year anniversary for the Fischer's basket match. So it's a special thing there. So there is a lot of...
Who won that one?
Yeah, good one. Good one. I don't know. Yeah. It was Fischer. But he came up to a bad start indeed. But managed to come back. So that's how it is here, but it's true that we have done it sometimes. Also, well, it's a good way to have a not training camp, but to get to meet and talk. Else it just becomes World Champion matches and a tournament here and there. Magnus doesn't play that much classical anymore.
So it's just you and Magnus in that cottage you're hanging out in?
No, Henrik is there, of course. It was boss day yesterday, so I congratulated Henrik. We're going to talk about CEOs later. I think Henrik is the CEO of Magnus Chess, right? So, he's also here. But, they're Norwegians. They're going to go out skiing. And that... I was actually, for a Danish standard, pretty decent at skiing in my youth. But now I haven't done it for 15 years. And somehow I thought that, breaking a leg would be suboptimal. So I decided not to.
How about golfing? Your golfing schedule is... Gone, yeah?
Lithuanian weather is tricky. So now I'm traveling here for the next 2-3 weeks. There's a risk that the golf season is over when I'm back. So that's how it is. But Lithuania is colder than you think. I mean, it's basically on the same level of Denmark, where it's placed in the world, but it's much colder, which means that the golf season starts only in May and finishes in end of October, start of November.
All right, everybody. If you got bored by us debating the weather, stick around. In an hour, the FIDE segment is coming up. So don't leave just yet.
It's going to be dynamite.
Yeah. All right. So we have the Champions Chess Tour. 3 days out of 4. That's 12 rounds have been played in the preliminaries at the time of recording. Magnus is still cruising, although he's probably not played well for his standards. He lost to Eric Aisi and Gukesh. The Indian kids are beating him. He can't be happy about that.
No, Mamedyarov too, but you're right with the Indian kids that he lost to Bo. Maybe actually he lost 2 games in a row. I'm not completely sure, just with a day in between. And whenever Magnus loses to an Indian kid, which happens now and then, it creates humongous news in India. So you have to mute Twitter a bit at these times. But I think he said himself in interviews that he hasn't really played well.
As if you ever muted Twitter for a second.
I get your point. But no, it has. It's strange. It's obviously not been a very well-functioning tournament for Magnus. Even so, he seems to quite easily cruise into top 8. Unless something goes horribly wrong today, is my estimate based on the standings.
6 points for
he has like 5-6 points down to the cutoff, right?
Yeah,
so I think basically the tournament is to some extent cut in half, right? At some point there was like 9 players competing for this, or maybe 10 for these 8 top spots. But I think that especially Kamer collapsed yesterday, losing all 4 games. So today seems like a bit of a strange day in that sense, but. Might sound rather silly if things goes wrong, but let's see. That's not the plan, at least.
Yeah, third day was a rough one for German chess fans. Keimer had a great start, but he lost 5 in a row now. He lost to another Indian kid I wasn't very familiar with, Mittal. He seems to be an international master at this point, but he seems incredibly good as well.
Yeah.
My hunch is they have a bunch of good young players in India. It might be a hot take, but that is my feeling at this moment. He's 16.
This is the first time, as well. I didn't even... I didn't
know
the name.
For me, I had to also look him up, check the picture and his games like this. And this is the fun thing with these events, that they bring in some who is actually very, very competitive, right? It seems like Mittal is not capable of qualifying, as far as I understand, but I think both with Magnus and with Giri, it seems reasonably competitive in the games. Maybe... With Magnus...
he was winning against Magnus, and it was a dead draw against Giri until he blundered.
And I think, it is impressive, no doubt. And but of course, the more sort of brand Indian names like who's Gukesh and Erigaisi seems to...
Gukesh, Erigaisi, Pragnanda.
Yeah.
Anand.
No, but in this tournament, right? They seem to be cruising towards qualification. I'm not sure about Vidit here, right? He's probably in the bottom half.
Yeah, Vidit has 14 points, so probably.
Yeah.
And people have 18.
But
so yeah.
Well, you see it again. Erigaisi, Gukesh, up to Satorov. They just seem to cruise easily through the preliminaries, right?
It's not that strong.
It doesn't seem a coincidence. Yeah, they're just that good.
Exactly.
They're just world class in repetition.
Yeah. No, in the beginning of this tour, we will say, wow, that one of the young ones qualified. Now we just shrug our shoulders and expect them to do it, right? And
Pragnanda is not playing this one, but if he was around, we'd expect him to qualify.
Easily, yeah. So it's no.
But it's not. It's less strong than usual, no? A bit.
Sorry?
The tournament, the lineup is less strong than usual.
Yeah, to some extent. It's probably not a coincidence that it's basically cut in half at the middle. It's a bit surprising that Kamer is not competing.
Yeah, that's the only one.
But of course, if you lose 5 in a row, then, what can you do, right? It's hard to come back from. But I think the interesting things will start when we get to the knockout phase.
Yeah.
So that's what we are getting ready for here, with a bit of a slow start, but hopefully we can rise to the challenge when it comes.
Yeah, could still be fun. Also, I guess for you, once these matches start, you have to do more work than during, or I don't know if more work, but it gets more serious than during.
To some extent, I get your point that Magnus now has lost 3 games, and somehow it seems to go rather fine anyway. While in knockout, of course, it becomes much closer. You remember the last event, he won the preliminaries in crushing styles, and then he lost the first game to Aronian. You thought, okay, it's actually going to end like this. Well, it didn't, because he was in excellent shape and won the next 3. But of course, it becomes much, much more vulnerable afterwards, which is kind of the point. So it's, you're probably not following baseball season closely, but they have like 162 games season. And some of the team, for instance, the Dodgers was doing incredibly well, and they just lost in the playoff now. And also St. Louis, which we all root for due to Sinkfeld and all their tournaments, also had a great season just to get knocked out in 2 games. And,
the Dodgers are the team Mr. Dodgy bought with his Twitter.
Something like that, yes, exactly. Yeah. Then, maybe he's doing better than I thought then. But, well, that's sport that suddenly it gets, to this knockout stage and then things can happen.
I've been told there's more sports going on in the US Championship where Fabi is still in the lead. I think we already praised him last week for having a good start. He's hanging in there. All eyes are on Hans Niemann as usual. But so far he's having, I don't know what he has, -1. Quietish tournament. Not collapsing, but also not being a world beater. Laurent, anything that caught your attention in the US Championship?
Not really. I mean, I'm following the games. Robson is close to Fabi, so it could be an interesting finish. Niemann is playing quite poorly, I would say. Of course, there was this 25 minutes game between Dominguez and Moradiabadi, my dream. I mean, he won. So I'm opening top.
Oh yeah, there was a 10
in this
game.
Petrov. Well, you just lose a piece.
But it's not even a trap, no? You go bishop takes c4, knight c3 and resigns? Yeah, maybe. You have to think of it.
Yeah, you have to think of it. And, so that was the fun fact. I was very jealous, to win a game in 20 minutes. It didn't happen to me, for, I don't know, maybe never. Of course, you cannot conclude anything about Niemann, because it's such a weird situation for him, I guess. He still didn't answer but we will come later, to Fres Drama. Okay, it still doesn't give any... He's giving interviews, but he's still not answering to, let's say, Magnus letter or chess.com letter or nothing. And what can he say? Overall... let's see. It will be interesting. It's just a very strong tournament. I'm surprised by your boy Wesley, actually, who is doing very poorly. He lost a couple of games to young kids. I mean, these kids are really... they're a bit... I don't know, this Christopher Yu and I don't know, so someone else. They're very strong, but they're also very, very confident. I don't know if they're more strong than confident, but they clearly have both skills.
They're taking over. Where are the chicken kids? There must be some nice scared kids out there in the chess world as well. But yeah, they don't seem afraid of the big guys, most of these upcoming kids. I think we talked about with Eric Aisi 2 weeks ago, if maybe he froze facing Magnus. But now he's just right back in the running, looking cool, calm, and collected as ever.
No, that is maybe the sad truth for chickens, that... it doesn't seem to be the optimal strategy for prodigies these days, right? I mean, they seem to do it. Well, my take about the US thing is basically it feels nostalgic, right? I mean, it just feels completely normal that Caruana is playing like the world number 2 and is doing well. And even while he's not, it seems not he's playing to his best, he still seems to be cruising to take the title, right? Then you spoke about Niemann. Well, he got back to -1, but he was basically in trouble against Morad Diaby, who's outplayed him. But then Hans indeed found a nice trick in Moriabi's time pressure, but he could easily have been on -3. So for Hans, no doubt this has been a difficult tournament. But as you mentioned, obviously there is could be a lot of reasons for that with stress and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, and -1, it's what Wesley has. It's half a point ahead of Aronia, and it can happen. It's a rough tournament.
No, I'm just...
Levon, I'm not sure what's going on.
I mean, the last game before the free day, 10 minutes before it ended with a win, it looked like he could just as well lose. But,
Okay, but taking chances against the outsider who's been struggling...
I'm
always defending Hans. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, well, it's not criticism. I'm just saying that it's, there the ball could have bounced in a different direction. Morad Diaby was actually playing a pretty nice game till then. But and I agree with So that this is kind of surprising, but maybe so, has his mind elsewhere. He's the reigning world champion in chess 960 and the top seed there. So it could be that well, this is the.
Are you really telling us he doesn't care about the US Championship because he has a 960 event coming up?
I'm not saying that, but maybe we see 960 as exotic, but it is a official world championship, and they actually have a pretty serious prize fund. I think the first prize is $150,000 a euro, right? I mean, it's probably quite more than the US Championship. So, no, I'm not saying he's doing badly on purpose, but it could be that he's now sort of thinks, okay, I actually have to go and defend my title soon.
Fair enough. Hans said, being a chess professional is not for the lighthearted. Many people who struggle to break through end up commentating and podcasting. How dare you, Hans? I was your friend.
Yeah, that's half towards us, I guess. We are doing both with Jan.
Whom is he taking shots at? Can't be us, no? Is that Fabi who started podcast?
It's a good insult when it just covers all, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, don't go after the seconds, right? I mean, yeah. No, there was some tension with Fabi, right? So
I heard they're on non-speaking terms.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what that means.
No.
Probably that they don't speak.
He did a bit of Magnus style, Fabi, not saying directly that he's accusing him, but indirectly he meant a lot of things. So, yeah. So I think they both actually don't want to interact with each other. So, yeah.
While we're on the topic, there was this interview, I'm not sure if you read it, with Maxim Dlugy, who Magnus brought up a bit tongue-in-cheek when he praised Niemann and his mentor, I think he called him Dlugy, a couple of weeks ago during the previous Champion Chess Tour event. Then, there was this big article about Dlugy leaking his correspondence with chess.com and that he got banned, I think in 2017 and 2020, with this somewhat sad story that he was just teaching his students, and then they were playing Title Tuesday, and the students were yelling moves. They were like 1500 till 1900, and somehow Dlugy was crushing the tournament with the moves the students were yelling. But then it turned out one of the students might have been using an engine. Now, he's defending himself in this interview. He's in this interview with Der Spiegel, where he made some points. I'm sure Peter will have thoughts about that, about the process, if the playing sides and that kind. Chess.com, how did he put it, should be whatever, judge, jury, and executioner. But he also made some statements. I'm not sure. Would be interesting. How Magnus feels about it. He said he knows Magnus very well. They played a bunch of blitz some years ago in Sinquefield Cup. And Magnus was very surprised that Dlugy was basically his equal. So with that statement combined with the story about the kids telling him moves during the cheating, I'm not sure he'll win the PR battle on that one. Peter, what were your thoughts?
I didn't read it in the Spiegel, but I think I read at least some of the open letter he wrote, right? And I know Dlugy. Well, I played in a blitz tournament with him in New York 20 years ago, and he was winning it clearly ahead of me and Joel Benjamin. He was like maybe I forgot. Some probably weekly event, but with some prize money, and he was just very strong at that time. He was definitely a blitz hustler, was my impression. But to say that he was equal to Magnus, but in the last 10 years, that would be surprising to me because, But I don't recall Magnus having spoken about that he played blitz with Dlugy. Nor I might have been there, but might not have noticed. So. Apparently, it made a stronger impression on him than on me, right? This criticism of the sort of what do you call it, the legal status of that? Servers will have to detect cheating, and there's no kind of independent things there. I mean, it's a reasonable thing to sort of to mention, and I think this is one of the topics that will have to be dealt with in the chess world. I mean, I don't know how many details we will go into about the German Chess Federation's Congress in the weekend, but I think they basically have decided that if you cheat in the online championships, it will actually mean you get banned in over-the-board championships. So there seems to be Germans are first movers in that direction, and it's going to be, interesting how they will handle it. Maybe you know more about it.
Yeah, no, I like the notion. I guess we talked about it a bit. I'm still not quite sure how it will be done in practice. Like if the playing side bans someone, then they will say, okay, we consider that enough proof of cheating, or if they will have their own committee for deciding these things. But I think it's good that they are addressing these topics and moving there during the Congress. Laurent probably watched the live stream of the German Chess Congress. I missed parts of it.
Of course. No, but I also mentioned this that he admitted in this open letter, which I had as well, that he admitted the cheating because it was the fastest way to get a new account. And he didn't have time to deal with chess.com. I mean, which sounds very ridiculous to me, but I don't know. I mean, let's say if Peter would accuse me to cheat, let's say in our match in Corsica, I would probably. It's just so random. I mean, you never admit something you. I don't know. I would never admit something I didn't do, even if it's private, because you never know if it will remain private. I mean, it's something you wrote. So I mean, it just feels weird to me. But
well, the problem is that when they ban him, he loses access to his account, and if he's using that for, let's say, students and everything, I mean, I get his point that this is some kind of infrastructure he needs to be able to do his job, right? Again, admitting to cheating is a serious matter. So, but of course, it's a problem that they create this incentive that you are getting rewarded for something if you admit, but only if you admit. I mean, of course, there is a problematic in this. I think we've spoken about it before, that I think in the Danish court system, they would not allow testimony who's sort of strikes from a deal being cut with authorities like that. But
yeah, so that was the second go around now, where I think he was expecting that process to go the same way, that he would admit the second time, because the first time, he's still giving the story about the students helping. So he just thought he would admit and get a new account, and it would be handled privately. I don't know what to think of that story. I can sort of relate, but maybe that's just me being naive, that I was thinking that if it's quote unquote private mails, even if it's between me and a corporation, that they don't get published. But this public interest seems to be overruling that, or I'm not sure how it works. But I could understand that from Glugi's point of view, he was surprised.
Yeah,
by.
but
yeah.
No, but come on. I mean, that's not something I'm going to buy. Because he knows that people are.
I'll never write Laurent anymore.
No, because I mean, like this chess.com, already few people will know. You know that people are in the chess world. You know how fast it goes in the chess world. So
no, but the damage is already done. No, he was already being called a cheater since 2017. So when it happened again in 2020, but I mean, who are we kidding? It's hard to not believe chess.com found some reasons to ban him again.
Yeah. So that's a way to defend himself. But well, it's clear that there is some lies inside this letter. So it's really so that's why Magnus was making that point. Yeah, the mentor of Hans, who also lied about his twice cheating. Like. Only twice, and that he regretted, because then chess.com published that it was more than 100 times. So, yeah. So Magnus at some point, yeah.
Yeah. Chess drama in general seems to be, I don't know if slowing down is the right word, but there's no breaking news every other day, no?
Maybe in the chess world. I mean, Norwegian news, it's still, quite active, I would say, right? I mean... Well, there was a new case recently. I mean, I think they're debating the Croatian league now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. I mean, that in the Croatian league, I think it was, Johann Sebastian was playing there. and the team captain wanted the team to agree to a 3-3 draw because they would clinch the title against the lower-rated team, and he was basically refusing to be part of that, and it sort of created some kind of incident there, and he was upset with it. And I think now the Norwegian newspaper called, I think both the federation there and the team captain. I think the team captain basically admitted it and didn't really see the problem in it. And it reminds me a bit about a joke from cycling, not Tour de France, but sort of this kind of 6-day races in cycling. Some Danish rider was asked, "Is there any kind of cheating in this?" And he said, "No, not at all. We keep all kind of deals, right?" So it's, here that the team captain was not denying that they have agreed to a 3-3. Basically said it's win-win. We get the championship and they have nothing to play for. Everything is clear. But of course, from the outside media, this idea that even in team competitions that you will have pre-arranged draws is interesting to write about. And it's also against the rules, as far as I understand.
No, I guess it is. I guess in the old days, team captains, at least during a match, they were allowed to agree to the result. But I also think it's a bit tricky if we throw all of this into the basket of cheating. Maybe the culture has to change, but it's not the same. Some guy cheating, especially in over-the-board tournament, with the computer assistant to a team captain in the Croatian league agreeing to a 3-3. It's just not. And if we throw everything in that same basket and everybody's a cheater, I agree, of course, the culture should change with pre-arranged draws and all that stuff. But I still think there is a big difference. Like, that might be a fun case for the Norwegian media, and maybe Johan Sebastian feels strongly about it. Maybe he didn't want to make a draw against a lower-rated player, but it sounds rough to make that a big cheating case to me.
I understand what you mean, but it also gives away how it's seen in the chess world. That this is
that's what I'm saying. The culture has to change, but to us, it's not the same.
No, exactly. I mean, legally, you could argue that this is match fixing. It's basically fixing a sports result beforehand. Who knows if it's on, if it was possible to bet on it. I mean, for instance, that in chess there is betting going on in tournaments, and there is certain pairings where at some point you just couldn't get. To bet because the bookmakers are very clever. They will actually remove certain pairings because they understand, these guys seems to make draws. I think someone was telling me that because two guys...
That's why you can't bet on the French championship.
Something like that.
They changed the format.
I
will tell you some funny story afterwards. You'll enjoy it.
Okay. No, but they somehow removed some pairings, and some guy was telling me that because, there were like 3 players, and... 2 of them was making draws with one guy, but the 2 others, when they played, would not make draw with each others. But basically, the bookmakers has just decided, these guys are making draws, so they removed encounters with them. And it's typically a habit for me to go and check the bookmakers before some games when I expect that this is players pre-arranging a draws. And quite often, the bookmakers are pretty good in understanding what happens. Also, I think some years back, again, Magnus basically said it outright during a Norway chess broadcast, right? That I forgot, was it the Kayakin against Mamedyanov or Kayakin against Radjabov? I'm not completely sure. Said, that this looks like a prearranged draw. And Mamedyanov was basically saying sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and things like that, right? And I get your point that in the chess world, it's not seen like that, actually.
No, I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying... we shouldn't treat it the same like cases of people that cheat with computers over the board. You need a lot of criminal energy for that. You don't need a lot of criminal energy to be on some team in the Croatian league and the captains agree it's 3-3.
I get your point. I wanted to, from the European Championship in 2001, and I remember an episode that 2 players had pre-arranged a draw beforehand, but then the day after when they had to play, one of them came and said, "I'm sorry, but actually my sponsors insist that I play the game and I don't do like this."
Ponomarev.
Thanks for... I was trying to be discreet, but...
it's very well known, and he admitted it, and he said...
Yeah, and he said that, and basically, a lot of people thought this was very unethical, not agreeing to the draw, but to break the prearranged agreement, right? Well, it gives away the culture, as you say. I don't know if it's so bad with the younger generation, perhaps less so.
Seems to be changing.
Yeah, that's my impression.
And yeah, once again, not saying it's right, but I think we all grew up in a world where agreeing to draws was a very, very normal thing that you constantly knew about, and it wasn't that frowned upon. But yeah, it seems like it's changing also with Magnus. Already that generation, they were just much more fighting than the previous one.
I still think it really depends if there is if two people agree to a draw. And well, again, the famous example I've been using is me and Sutovsky. We pre-arranged a draw. I don't know, 20 years ago, but we were leading the tournament, and well, one of us would win, and no one would be able to catch us. Basically, there is no victims here. We can still say it's bad, and you should, but there's no victims. But there are such situations.
Well, the victim is Sutovsky as usual. Like, how could he not anticipate the future? How often he would bring this up?
Exactly, that is true. But anyway. It's my...
There's no privacy in draw agreements with Peter Heine.
No, there is not. But there's not that many either. But let's say, for instance, in team competitions, there could be this situation. Well, for instance, this one we speak about. Well, the team who has a chance to become champions, if this team loses, obviously loses out on this deal. And then it becomes different when it's not longer a zero-sum game, but it actually there is some kind of victims, right? And, well, that I dislike. And
the problem is in the culture, once again. People didn't see that much difference about making a draw after two moves to agreeing to a draw beforehand. Because you're allowed to offer a draw, or you were allowed to offer a draw at any point in the game. And in team matches, I think I've been part of a match where in order to win the title, we just offered, as a high-rated team, we just offered draws on every board early. And why is that fine and not the other one? I'm just saying that's how it's been seen.
I will tell you, I mean, I'm sure it was legal because I remember this very well. Olympiad 2004, we played Ukraine in the last round, and Ukraine just needed a draw to win the title, to win the Olympiad, which they actually won in the end. And we were playing for like top 5, but so we thought a draw for them is very good. So let's play the free roll, and if it goes wrong, then the captain can go to Tukmakov. It was Tukmakov, the captain, and just offer the draw. So after like 1.5 hours of play, it didn't go well, and our captain went to Tukmakov. Tukmakov said no, and we lost 3-1. So because this guy is Volokitin, and I mean I lost to Volokitin actually. He was already doing very, very poorly. Elianov beat Nataf. So we saw the nice free roll. I mean, it was gone, and we looked like complete idiots actually. So that was.
But that rule they changed, no, at some point, I don't know when. I also remember this was, a normal thing to do. The captains could just negotiate results during the match. But
I mean, the arbiter was there, so our captain was just save for draws. Tukmakov asked Ivanchuk and Volokitin. They say, okay, please stop talking to please stop talking to us during the game. We want to focus, want to beat these guys, and that was normal. So that was, of course, I think that was wrong. I mean, that you can go. I mean, the captain from a team going to the other captain and offer 4 draws. I mean, it's just a nonsense.
Yeah, I think you should be allowed to offer 4 draws on the boards, but then the opponents has to ability to pick. I mean, this you have seen quite often, that there is 2 promising positions in both directions, and then they agree to 2 draws. But this is wrong in some way, because they are making sure that this doesn't get out of hand. These things I quite dislike. I mean,
but they disappeared as well. No, that's already been fixed. Like that no longer happens.
to some extent. But I mean, but also, well, I haven't been part of team competition for 10 years, so I'm not really up to speed with these teams.
Why is that?
Well, first I said yes, then no, then they stopped asking me. I think that's more or less how it is. Well, I've been the Lithuanian team captain at one.
No, but my point is exactly what you said, Jan. We grew up in a world where it was, the chess world, where it was just completely normal. I mean, like, you could go, from captain to captain and make like 6 draws, 4 draws, 8 draws, I mean, whatever. So, and it was nothing. I mean, this anti-draw rules came later, and nobody saw the difference between going a draw the evening before and after 2 moves. Yeah, so that was wrong, but.
No, but they're both dying out, which is probably good, because you also don't see a lot of draw agreements after a couple of moves. I don't think, of course, because I never do it, I never fixed a draw against either of you. I recall against Laurent, we once had an 8-move draw, which was very rude by Laurent, because he was black, he doesn't know the opening, some random exchange stuff. He just offers me a draw after 8 moves, and of course, being the chicken I am. And I think we were doing well in the European Championship. I qualified for the World Cup. I took the draw. Yeah.
If we would just keep drawing all our games, we would qualify for the World Cup, which was
I did qualify.
Which was the goal. I think I also qualified.
Also a stupid system, and that you can just draw your way to the World Cup.
But anyway, I think the listeners has gotten this idea of it's not seen as bad in the chess world earlier, and this has changed, which is I think it's a good thing, and but it happens still now and then. I think. Well, was reading the FIDE ethical codex, and I think actually they have they talk about match fixing, that if someone accuses you, you actually have some kind of obligation to clear yourself because it's so difficult to prove. But I don't know if draws are considered match fixing, or we're actually talking about results. And I agree with Jan that while fixing draws, both in teams and the players, should be punished. It is seen as very different, and probably rightly so, compared to actually fixing a decisive result. Although I see people online who says that why is it, if the expected score is 75% against 25%, why is fixing a draw worse than fixing a result? It's still the same number of equity given away, but I think it's quite different. Simply because it's so difficult to stop people agreeing to a draw, right? I mean, it's within the rules.
Well, it's also difficult to stop people from fixing games. It's just not something that happens.
No.
It's not a particular problem to chess. I mean, it just happens in every sport. I mean, when you have sport...
chess is very different in the sense that you can stop the game suddenly by mutual agreement. There's not, to my knowledge, any other sport who has this thing.
But we're getting rid of that slowly.
Yeah, and that's... I think in the beginning we were all hostile towards it because it basically made our...
No, I always liked it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because for me, I mean, it's too late now, but one thing that really held me back as a chess player was the time I was spending thinking about, should I offer a draw, should I accept a draw, but mainly should I offer a draw if I make this good move? Is this a good time to offer a draw? And it's such a horrible mindset to have, and you lose so much time actually thinking about the game. So I think it would have helped me tremendously if my chicken nature would have been kept in check by not being allowed to offer draws.
I get your point. And no, you're probably right. And it doesn't really belong there in a way. It's hard to see what it actually adds. So I get you. I actually agree with you. Laurent, you're very quiet.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's, especially for kids. I mean, for kids competition, I think it should be completely forbidden. And then you just...
No,
because for adults, it's late. I mean, for us, let's say it's late. But for kids, if you manage to educate kids, not even educate, it just simply doesn't exist, then you don't think about it.
I get Jan's point that for chickens, you try to run away. And the draw offer is a way to get out of an uncomfortable situation for both psychologically. And it shouldn't exist in sports. That's what sport is about. You get into the situation and you fight, right? And so it doesn't serve much purpose. I mean, and this idea that some completely dead positions will be played on for a bit, but we'll have to live with it. It's not a big problem. So no, it's actually...
So that was the Gustafsson tweet about the FIDE against this rook and a-pawn against rook, huh?
Yeah, I think you're right. That Gustafsson had a tweet that he was saying that, I don't know if I remember if it was wasted time or disrespectful or, he actually a poll if it was bad or what should we do, or if it's the new generation. And, I belong to think that, it's a new generation. We play out the positions. And, I understand rook and pawn against rook. it's probably completely dead draw, so maybe it's a waste of time. But
why? First of all, the people on the broadcast, they don't all know why rook and a-pawn against rook is a dead draw. And also, it literally takes them 2 minutes maximum to play it out. Like, you just go through the motions, the game is over, stalemate. Like, what's the big deal? I think it's annoying if one side in such a position with the pawn up thinks for an hour about what to do. But if they just blitz out the moves and the game is over, like, who's losing anything?
No, I agree. I don't see the problem. Also, well, I mean, how little equity should you have in order for it to make sense to play out? If you have 0.5% chance of winning and none of losing, what's the big problem?
I mean, come on, he doesn't have 0.5%. I mean, he has 0.
Even if 0, you can play it out, just give the stalemate, you're done a minute later, the spectators are happy. That doesn't matter. Maybe
this one is too simple, but I mean, there is others where, I mean, no, I thought this is basically, well, of course, comparing it with Magnus is a bit different because, well, he wins a lot of dead positions, but they're not that dead as this one. But
he does the same thing, like a lot of people do that. Just you play till king versus king instead of agreeing to draw 15 moves earlier, you just take all the pieces and it's over. I don't see any problem.
No, I genuinely agree. I don't see it as disrespectful, and I think if the player who has to defend is annoyed, well, yeah, but try not being a pawn down if this bothers you. I mean, this nuisance comes, and you will have to live with it. Yeah, I'm defending.
Maybe I'm wrong, by the way. I'm not sure if you did think for an hour with the a-pawn and rook versus the rook, then I'd be annoyed too. I'm not sure if that happened. I didn't see that.
No, I don't think this was the case. But no, I get, well, then it becomes trying to bother or tire your opponent. Well, if you have a legitimate reason to think, but if you're
just being annoying.
I think basically you're just being annoying. But well, it depends on your competence level. I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, but I mean, I played Kasparov and in this rapid tournament in Reykjavik, and well, he offered me a draw, and I said, "I'm sorry, it's not obvious to me this is perpetual. I need to think a bit." Then I thought for 1 or 2 minutes, okay, it is perpetual, and then we agreed to a draw, right? So I mean, to be incompetent and not understand it is fine enough, but well, I was not trying to annoy him. I just needed to make sure for myself, right? And that's fair enough.
No, that's completely normal. But yeah.
No, you disrespected Guy Kimovic.
Well, it's also strange if you...
Do you notice how Peter, to every podcast episode, he manages to flick in the same story about him drawing Kasparov?
Yeah.
It comes up every episode.
I mean, I'm going back to Reykjavik next week. Trust me, it's coming up again. So, yeah.
No, actually, I had this against Sutovsky. Some funny moment I remember in the Open Championship, like I think 2014. Well, it was some opposite color bishop. I was pretty sure it was though. And then, but I saw a plan for him. I mean, it was not working, but he could do something. So I started to think. And then he just asked me to, I mean, there was no draw first before move 40, and he asked me to play faster. So, I mean, that was a bit weird. Like, okay. I mean, like to play faster, so he just wanted to repeat moves. I mean, I had no plans whatsoever. So he was the only one to have a plan. I don't know. Maybe he figured out faster than me that it didn't work. So he didn't even try. So I played a move and he just repeated.
So you played faster and he did his plan and you lost it?
Yeah, no. He just played some random bishop moves. Didn't do anything and it was a draw. But generally he seems a bit. He seems like a busy man and he doesn't want to waste time on dovish position.
I'm drawing you.
Yeah, maybe.
Fair enough.
Speaking of busy men, I found some time in my very busy schedule to read some chess books. I have the prestigious Thailand Open coming up, so I thought I should look at some chess books. I have some reviews. I guess you guys don't read chess books either. Peter actually told me about one we couldn't debate if that's a chess book or not. It's... yeah. Half chess. Laurent, do you read any chess books?
I used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, I used to read every chess book I could get my hands on until I was, I don't know, like 18. And then it slowed down considerably and more or less stopped the last 15 years, which I guess is normal. We're used to working with computers and in openings and so on. But it's a bit sad too. I actually enjoyed it. So I read this book by Michael Adams, and I think it's Philippe Hurtado. Sorry if I got the name wrong. Think Like a Super Grandmaster. That was fun. you get some exercises, usually not that difficult, and you're supposed to think about them like in a tournament game, 10 minutes or whatever, and come to a solution. Then you can read the thoughts of players at different levels, like Adams is the super grandmaster, but you also see thoughts of people with whatever, 1500, 1800, 2400, trying to solve the exercises and go through this thought process. I thought it was quite interesting. Also, I like that the exercises weren't that tough. I could solve most of them, so I felt like a super grandmaster.
Oh, but I mean, first of all, I think the book won some prize and has been praised a lot, right? That was my...
no idea. I just grabbed some books, but yeah, that one was good.
No, I think it did. But also, well, this idea of being able to solve the exercises, I think actually is an important point. My general impression is that exercises are way too difficult. I remember before the World Cup in 2011, and again, I'm only mentioning tournaments which I did well, which is limiting. But in the plane going there, I was bringing one of Ågård's book, and it basically had like 3 chapters, like level 1, level 2, level 3, in terms of difficulties. And well, I was doing the warm-up section because that was the only one I felt that at least I have a competitive chance to solve some of them. And no, I think generally some of these exercises books are just incredibly difficult. And I don't know if they reflect reality, to be honest. Well, they don't reflect my reality, at least.
No, that's the problem. I was going to get to that because I also got Ramesh's book, Improve Your Chess Calculation. Ramesh, of course, a highly, highly acclaimed, rightly so, Indian coach, worked with a lot of these young talents, and I just have no chance of solving any of the exercises. Which, I don't know, like I didn't sit down with a chessboard and try it for 2 hours in every position, but basically it's some incredibly complicated position. I think about some ideas, then there are like 5 pages of incredibly complicated analysis. Obviously, I saw very little of it, and it's just too tough for me. And I would guess I'm in the higher rated demographic of readers. Maybe that's the difference between us and these Indian kids, that we can't force ourselves to do them. But I don't get it. Like, I understand people think it's beautiful how deep chess is and so on, but who can solve these exercises? Seriously.
I don't know. I mean, when I was younger, I bought a computer program from Dovetsky with a lot of exercises. And no, I was using some of it and it helped to get me in shape. But again, I could
I saw that program. That was also incredibly tough, but yeah.
I could only do the easier ones by far. And well, most people who has been using it and borrowing from me, they use it as a computer game. Sort of you try to have fun, while the idea is you should sit down and do it thoroughly. But it's very, very difficult. And no, I mean, sometimes I have seen some, let's say, 2,000 players doing some of these exercises, well, in the books you mentioned. And but it's been clear to me that they don't grasp the details of the solutions. So, I mean, for me, it doesn't reflect how chess is played. But obviously, it works for some. I think it really depends on your style. I remember, well, when I was younger, again, Artur Yusupov was doing lectures in Denmark, and I spoke to him, and he said that, well, you know, your weaknesses is calculation and you're intuitive. Well, you should be very happy about it because that is something you can train and do something about. Because, well, calculation you can actually work on, while working on intuition is much more blurry and complicated. But, well...
yeah, maybe I'm just being lazy, and the proper thing is to sit down and think through it. But I think it's important if it's like a tournament situation. The other book, I thought for 10 minutes, usually I had the solution or an idea about the solution. I was wrong 2-3 times as well. But there, that felt more like a practical game. Of course, often I thought just 1-2 minutes if I saw it quickly. But the other one, I mean, I would have to sit down and think for half an hour and get to like 10% of the computer lines that are the solution. I don't see how that's real life chess.
I think it's an important subject and it should be spoken about. Of course, well, we are maybe biased. We are all intuitive, and also, well, we are blessed with working with some ridiculously strong talents. But I don't know if it's very useful to do it. But well, it'll be interesting to hear some who has done it successfully. For me, the problem was that if I did it too difficult, it will also crush my self-confidence. And
yeah, that's another issue. Like, that's what I liked about the first one. You feel good. You saw the solution. Bam. Next one. And then you miss some, but you still feel okay. And I think it also builds your pattern recognition. While with the other one, it might be me being too weak a calculator, but I just feel miserable. Like, okay, I can't solve any of those. And yeah, I saw 2 moves down the line, then you justify it to yourself. That's very tough.
No, it's good. I think it's good. It's good for really, really top players. I know that.
But Magnus also hates it. Like too tough exercise, he hates.
He's not that good at it either.
Caruana's different.
Yeah, but Caruana, he was training with Chernin. I remember I saw a lot of his exercises actually, and yeah, it was very, very difficult again. But I mean, now Caruana is just calculating like a machine. So that was good for him. But I mean, it's only few top players. I mean, for club players, I don't see what's the point of doing that. I fully agree.
No. I mean, we organized to have Doretsky over for the Danish national team like 25 years ago. And basically he was, what he was doing, he was playing a simul where each of us had sort of an exercise, fitting to our level or basically way too high. And I think 1 out of 10 solved it. And this was Jesper Hall from Sweden, actually. But I think Doretsky wanted to show us that, we all care about openings and positional understanding and these kind of things, but we're actually not able to calculate straight lines, and this is something that we should work on. So I was getting his point, but also that, I don't know if it reflects reality in a way. It becomes a way you can train very hard and you can build certain skills. But if that's how you win chess games, it's not fully clear to me in a way.
Yeah, I'm also not sure. Could be if you just go through it, especially at a young age, and organize that you just become an amazing calculator. But for me, it can also mess up my brain if I try to simulate getting too deep into a position. I'm not sure. It's a complex topic. I don't have the answer. Just for me, it doesn't work. I can.
No, but I mean, if we compare doing all these exercises with spending the same time playing bullet chess, are we actually completely sure that bullet chess is not better? I understand that might be cancelled for that in the coaching environment, but it's not a given to me. Take players like Nakamura, Magnus, and others who's been playing more bullet than solving exercises. I simply don't know, but it's a relevant discussion in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I don't have the answer either.
No, I'm genuinely curious for change. Yeah.
Also, what I notice, usually chess amateurs will praise these incredibly hard books, like 1800 players. They will say, this is an amazing book to improve your calculation and so on. And who are we kidding? Like, you guys can't solve any of this stuff either. So maybe they just enjoy to see the depth of chess. But I'm always very confused. And it was the same with the old Dvoretsky exercises, but in general, most of the highly acclaimed books, I'm just too stupid for.
But that feeling I actually get. I mean, in shogi, I'm an amateur player, maybe like 18 or 1900. But of course, I need to have the best exercises book, the nice Indian. I want to understand the newest trends in openings, and they have absolutely no relevance for my results because I can lose a plus 10 position easily in the critical phase because I'm not very good at spotting the mating patterns, which is extremely. But it becomes more like an emotion that you need to have an opening repertoire. You need to. I mean, it's a hobby. So I get the point, but
no. Of course, you want the good stuff by the good coaches. That I understand. Just I'm always confused if I'm really the only one who's frustrated that these exercises are too tough.
No, but I mean, maybe quite some Danish juniors have been telling, okay, don't make quick draws and play more blitz online. This has been some of my advice. I don't know how well it worked, but I don't think it's that bad advice.
So what else did you read?
I read an opening book there. I just skipped through. It was nice by Play the Nimzo Indian by Igor Lisi. I'm mispronouncing the name. But he's a strong player. He's like 2,700. Just a well thought out repertoire. People like doing Nimzo books because it's easier than doing a whole D4 repertoire. Like you don't have to bother with the Catalan and knight f3, d5, knight c3. But it was still. I learned some things, and yeah, it looked like it was a proper repertoire. So that's a good advanced repertoire book. And I read, on Peter's recommendation, or read is strong, I started reading, what's it called actually? Masterpieces.
Dramas and Masterpieces.
And Dramas of the Soviet Chess History by Voronkov, which is very interesting. But once again, I had a similar reaction than to Ramesh's book. Oof, I need to focus for that one. Which for me, this will sound very dumb. But it's a problem I often have with reading Russian literature. I'm not so used to the names and the parental names and the nicknames. And there's a lot of that, if I'm not familiar with whom he's talking about, where you really have to focus, who was that and who was that and was this the parental name of that? And yeah, I guess that one can fix with some practice. But sometimes it takes me out of reading books with Russian personalities.
I thought these books, they also won prizes and are very interesting. And at least for me, I got a lot of new info about how chess started in the Soviet Union, about the championships, how difficult it was, that, they were even having shortage of food. I think at some point they went on strike and demanded to have more cheese and things like this. It sounded pretty wild, right? But, basically, I mean, we have all spent basically our whole life in the chess world, and all the main anecdotes and stories we know, but I thought that this actually quite enriches my knowledge. The same.
Oh yeah, I knew nothing about this. Also, it starts I think in 1940, and the politics behind the scenes and the pictures from the tournaments. It's super interesting. Just it requires focused reading. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. It's fantastic.
No, I get your point. Also, I mean, we are chess experts. We're actually used to taking a chess books and sort of leaf through it and extract all the information with opening books and things like that, right? And I can do it quite efficiently because we're kind of experts. So I agree, this is a different book. I most likely haven't finished it fully either, but that's a
you generally story. Just with DVD. You generally just ask me to watch them.
I have been doing sometimes, just to tell you that. I think even at some point I've forced you to watch DVD on the Stonewall and then sent me a summary, right? And then I think I played it in Bundesliga.
So that was the fastest way for you to get it down.
It's basically abuse of power, but I mean, okay. No, but the DVDs are also nice, but they also take time to watch.
Sounds a bit like my great predecessor. I mean, I enjoyed. This is my favorite series of book. With many Russian names, but we are more used to it.
But there we're just mainly talking about the world champions and the great players of the times. There I can follow the names, but in this book it was so much new material.
No, especially the Karpov-Kasparov matches. I mean, this great predecessor book, I think it's just fantastic.
No, I read all of them. They're all great.
No, I agree. But, with Jansia, they actually introduce a lot of new characters we didn't know before. I mean, Kasparov's are giving his opinion on things that we more or less knew, I would say. Right? And that's, of course, extremely interesting because he's Kasparov. I think Voronkov was also involved in that, if I remember correctly, right? But no, these are great books. I also want to throw in that, there was some new books by Lasker, which also impressed me a lot in the sense that, I mean, I got so much info I didn't have beforehand about Lasker. And
Lasker is still writing books?
No, but they are making these biographies about him, right? In German, and they came out in English as well. I mean, the same with these Voronkov books. I mean, it's obvious it has taken an absurd amount of research to do it. And, that is always very interesting when someone do these kind of things out of passion. I mean, but they're also very hard reads. I have them, but I haven't managed to read them fully also because, as you say, there's a difference between, looking at the games, reading Kasparov's comments, and then to take in a lot of new names and info you haven't had before. So maybe that's what people do on an everyday basis, but it doesn't seem normal for us, right?
No, but still, as you said, these projects should be praised, like the amount of work
incredible
he must have done and the people he contacted to get information and the pictures and so on. It's so impressive, and I hope it does well, but it's clearly also, you don't do this just for commercial reasons to research 2,000 pages about forgotten Soviet chess history. So, yeah, I very much impressed by it.
Then you do a DVD on the Dragon, right? So
I still haven't cashed in on your 2012 or 2008 Dragon notes. Maybe I can still sell them somewhere.
Yeah, give it a shot. I actually did the DVDs on that. Yeah,
that's a pity.
That was the books you have read. Are you actually giving away your Nimzo repertoire here before the tournament? Yeah.
No, but it is like this is a strong player. I'll skip through it and see if I find some new things. Like I know the Nimzo. But that was the usual process. I read it for like half an hour. There were like 3-4 things I didn't know and that were interesting to me. So I can very much recommend it. Also, it looked like a thorough repertoire. But yeah, that's just for skipping through for info.
Maybe, we say we used to read a lot of chess books earlier. I think people underestimate, how many books we had. I mean, at some point I had Kulovic staying in my flat in Aarhus. And he said he basically didn't leave the flat because he was just reading my library all the time. I mean, basically my flat was completely packed with chess books because that was how you were getting info at that time. Then I moved to Lithuania and I threw out a lot of the old stuff. But even now in Lithuania, I moved everything into a corner of the basement because it simply was taking too much space. But now, when I had to find some critical letters 27 and 30 years ago against some of the present FIDE members, I had difficulty finding. So I actually spent like 2 hours in my basement. But I did actually manage to find as my parsimonious answers from 1996 about Strumica. So, I knew they were there. I had to find them.
So I was really hoping that the story would come to some love later, about some all love from Peter, like some nice correspondence, some very romantic stuff. But no, that's my this ghost tournament.
That doesn't exist. But critical letters, I know where to find. So, but
does that bring us into Peter corner
already? Wow.
Is there any?
Already?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there fresh drama? Junior power rankings? What do we have?
Kema had a bad week, right? So
Keimer had a rough day. He had a good start actually. He was in the first shared lead after 5 rounds, but yesterday he lost all 4. That was tough. While the Indian kids we mentioned both beat Magnus, they'll be happy.
It's actually a good point. He could still qualify despite having lost 5 games in a row. That would be something. I mean, it's not likely, but the chance is there. That would be pretty impressive.
Up to Satorov also showing he belongs in these power ranking conversations. He's just cruising to qualification, it looks like.
I mean, he was world rapid champion, so that doesn't come by accident.
No.
No, I mean...
No, we know he's great.
We are basically getting to the stage where we shouldn't really talk about them as talents anymore. They're top players, right?
But of course, we are happy to change our opinion on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
If they lose some games in European Club Cup, they're back to talents. This could go very quickly.
Bring in special episodes if needed.
No, but we should go to the segment, the Peter segment. Wow, everyone is waiting for that. Come on.
Is it?
No, but let's get chickens out of the way first. But I don't have a chicken as usual.
Maybe we had some nice conversation about you. You will be my chicken of the week, Jan. For the Plovdiv.
But you just take me every 3rd week because you don't want to take Anish every time. Then you take me every 3rd week. It's not getting better.
You just reminded me of this game in Plovdiv, actually.
But you offered me a draw after 8 moves, so now you're calling me a chicken for it?
You were. I mean, you had some prep. You had some idea. I was out of book at black. We had approximately, I guess, the same rating.
Was very rude to offer, but I did cruise to World Cup qualification, so I don't feel too bad about it. But I'm not going to deny having been a chicken my whole chess career, and it's held me back greatly. That's why we're here now.
And let's face it, you prefer that I pick you than other than Guy.
I really don't care, but I don't have a good chicken to pick. Eric Aisi very much redeemed himself.
I have a suggestion for you, Jan.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I will actually also take Jan. Well, not Jan solely, but Germany.
What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Chicken Chess Club podcast, and you guys want to pick me as the chicken every week?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, Germany, actually, the German Chess Federation, I've been incredibly fond of, and I still am. They were our biggest supporter in the FIDE elections. But now they had their Congress, and I think there was a resolution that something should be done about Russian influence in FIDE. And I think the decision was that this was not a pressing matter or dringend. You translated, Jan. So, I mean, well, that disappointed me a bit. At least it gave me a chance to also nominate Jan here on the fly.
What does that have to do with me, first of all? I wasn't there. I wouldn't contribute. I don't know the exact statement. And I don't think it's a laughing or chicken matter. So I strongly deny the notion of being called a chicken for that.
Well, you're a member of the federation, but I generally feel it's a bit chicken that, well, we know we're going to lose the fight, and then not taking it becomes...
Which fight do we know we're going to lose?
Russian influence in FIDE. So going up against... Well, this is the typical thing that they say if you vote for... Or if you go strongly up against Russia in FIDE, it might, not turn out too well for you in a way. So I generally thought it was a pity that this motion didn't carry. But I was mainly just trying to get a cheap poke at you now Laurent started.
Fair enough. No, that's fine. But you're already deeply in Peter corner. Like, none of this stuff has anything.
No relevance with the character. You're right.
So let's get into it. We need a jingle for it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's wrong with FIDE this week, Peter?
Well, I think we should generally start with the most recent statement where they presented their managerial board. And I can honestly say I didn't exactly understand the titles they had before. But for instance, now they have changed from Gustafsson being, was it Director General or General Director? I think Director General, to now being the CEO. And, well, they all have fancy titles, but, well, maybe there has been some reconstruction that I haven't understood, but I didn't understand it beforehand either. For instance, will FIDE have a new Director General after Gustafsson when he's become the CEO, or is just disappearing? I mean, it's well, it becomes a bit very phony to me and sort of pompous in a way. I mean, it will basically be like the first day we meet before a World Championship match, we start delegating titles like that. I mean... And
structure has always been clear. Like Laurent is our supervisor. He doesn't have to do any work.
No.
He reports to you.
And you are just a slave sitting there working very hard.
We're just slaves sitting in the Fressinet.
That was nice.
In the Fressinet torture chamber.
Supervising and checking, you on Slav, you on Spanish, you on stuff, and me, I'm just talking to people.
You're making me sound much more dictatorial than I actually am. I mean... when I do lectures about myself, I say that we have this free structure, creativity flows, and that's why we achieve great results. But it's not how it felt to you?
No, it's not true, of course.
Not at all.
Okay, I see. Well, that's a bit...
we report to supervisor Fressinet, but sometimes Dubov, he would try to break out of the system and go his own way.
Yeah, I don't think that Dubov see himself as just
maybe he didn't understand
a worker sitting there at the bottom of the power chain doing what he's told. That's I don't think that's Dubov's impression. I mean,
there was some misunderstanding.
Yeah. And, no, that's also, I think, in Team Anand, sort of, I think for the absolute first camp, they said, well, we make you in charge of the preparation. But it basically meant that everybody will just send their sort of half-finished files to me, and I had to put them in structure and order. So to me, it felt like more that I was becoming a secretary for everyone else than being... in charge, but it's difficult to say. But anyway, this was to criticize FIDE, not me. Actually. So let's go back to that. But I don't know. But
yes, that's so. No, I mean, like I will once again maybe on that FIDE topic agree with Peter. Yeah, it's just so weird. And what's the difference? I mean, in his everyday's job, I mean. On Gustafsson, I think it will be the same. Anyway, he said, I actually claimed that he was the organizer of Olympiad or one of the main guys there.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the difference between CEO and general director? I mean, I just accept the name.
Well, also CEO is something
for company.
I mean, you do in a company, not in a democratic organization. Yeah. I mean, I tried to Google the CEO of FIFA, and it came with Infantino, who is the president. So... I don't get it fully, but also maybe I'm not supposed to. I think before the elections I was criticized for not understanding the structure of an organization I wanted to be part of the leadership in. So that's perhaps fair enough. But for me, it's puzzling. Also, I think they made the announcement and then suddenly they added Tourlay the day after. Maybe they forgot him in the first place. But I think after elections, you typically see this, that the organization grows because they have to sort of reward people. And I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, but after Dvorkovich was elected, he had to appoint 2 or 3 vice presidents. And I think he had only announced one of them beforehand. So there was actually quite a long break because there was negotiations going on about these things, for instance. I think also that, for instance, there was 2 people in South America running for who has to be the continental president. And I think one of them was giving a vice presidency and then the other one would win there. So, I mean, there is a lot of negotiations going on. I can see Jan is extremely bored.
Yeah, no, but Jan is... So, you are not vice president, Jan? I thought you were there already. You are not FIDE vice president?
I can't talk about it. It's not a transparent application process.
No, it's not. And that's perhaps also a bit of a problem. I saw that in in FIFA, it's only 8 out of 35 that's nominated by the president. But anyway, then another thing with FIDE is, there's a tweet here by Leonard Oates, who is even friendly with the guys. He's saying that, where is the World Rapid Play happening in December? What about the candidates tournaments for women? The World Championship match is supposed to be in spring. And what about the upcoming the World Cup and the format for the next World Championship cycle? There's a lot of things happening quite soon. And again, transparency. It's been a while, but we are back to that. I mean, are we actually expecting a World Championship match in 5 months without knowing it in advance? No?
And more importantly, we don't know the dates, we don't know the location, but we don't know who will be in the appeal committee. So, I mean, that's the most important topic for Jan.
But I think I can make it. 5 months notice is fine. Let us know.
Yeah, with whom we should become friends to get this job, Peter. You know a lot. You are just checking them all day long.
I think you basically have no chance. These spots are taken. I mean, I'm willing to take a bet for Nigel Short against the two of you if you want. It's 2 against 1, but no, it's. Well, these jobs are difficult to get in, and while we can laugh about it here, I will still go back. I mean, I know all these Dvorkovic's interviews by heart from 2018. I mean, he's the one pointing out we have to go away from giving post for sinecure positions. It has to be based on skill sets, and it's a pity it is like this. People's skilled, appeal committee
members. It's based on skill set. We're also out, Laurent.
Yeah, can't be no. But it's more. I mean, these things should be known in advance, but also World and Rapid and Blitz. I mean, the year 2022 is running out. There's not that much time left. I saw people complaining, we also have to get visas. We have to get tickets.
No, but the world situation, but yeah, for December, we should know. But in general, I mean, the world situation is quite complicated. So you cannot blame them. Also, but for Rapid and Blitz, of course, I mean, we are like 17th of October. It's in December. I mean, okay, yeah, that should be known. Yeah, of course.
I actually don't think it's solely that, but it can also be, of course, some of the venues. Could it be connected with Russia's status in the world of sports? I mean, a Ding Nepomniachtchi match. Well, Russia has said very clearly that they would like to have at least half of it, right? And there is also a leg of the female candidates tournament, which has 3 Russian players. Again, it could be logical to have it in Russia from a sporting perspective, but there will be problems politically. Basically, this kind of treading water and see what happens in the world has been the strategy. And, I'm not a fan of it. I like what they do in other sports where they say, no, we have the consequences now, and if things improve, we can try and see what to do later. But that's not how it is. And I managed to make it a bit political in the end.
Can't wait for the Football World Championship. Shining example.
Yeah, that's true. But so I think that's more or less it in FIDE. Of course, there has. I thought I was involved in some fights in the beginning of the week on Twitter, but
it's good. It's good that they are doing the fights at the start of the week, like on Tuesday, Wednesday. And we are very grateful to FIDE. Thank you. So please do it. The next few days, then you can forget about it. Now it's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Then if there's no pressing matters that need addressing, this is it for the week.
Yeah.
0 fresh drama. Laurent, your life is just fun and games, yeah? Corsica, beach, nice restaurants, bit of drinking, win some rapid tournament.
Yeah, no, that was very much fine. Now we are back to the real world, which is less fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tell me about it. After a flight to Thailand tonight, it's going to be a long trip.
I'm a bit jealous.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to go and repair Magnus' opening repertoire while he goes skiing. So yeah, that's what I will do here.
Sounds like we all have things to do. Thank you so much for listening, and see you for the next episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe everywhere where there's podcasts. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.